Hello, it's your girl Darius the Aquarius, and in this video I'm going to be talking about a Starseed origin, the vegans that are near and dear to my heart because I definitely resonate with this energy and I've had some lifetimes in VEGA. So if you feel like you were a VEGA Starseed, or let's say you were just drawn to this video, I do not believe in coincidences, and I feel like you found this video for a reason. But we're going to get into the traits, like Starseed traits, why is it the Divine Mother archetype? You know what I mean? I'll get into a little bit of the vegan history, and then I'll give you some cool visuals of the VEGA Starseeds that I've gotten. I am referencing out of A Prism of Lyra by Lisa Royale Holt, and then A Gift from the Stars by Elena Danan. They're really great books, especially if you're into like Galactic history, Starseeds and stuff. I really recommend them. So the vegans, also the Divine Mother archetype, heavily associated with that throughout the galaxy. So Vega is also called Alpha Lyrae. It's in the constellation of Lyra. Its distance from the Earth is about 25 light years. It's the fifth brightest star in our night sky. It was once the North Star around like 2000 BC, and it's predicted that it will be the North Star again 13,000 years, 72700 AD after death, right? So long, way past our time. So what is the Divine Mother archetype? So if anyone is into tarot, you guys understand, the Empress, basically that, in a sense. And then the High Priestess. I would definitely associate those two tarot cards with Vega. And that's just like me throwing something up from my mind, which more cards could definitely be associated with Vegan Starseeds if, that's something that you are interested in or whatever. So the Divine Mother archetype, sorry, I just go off into like La La Land with chatter. But anyway, so the Divine Mother is compassionate. She's wise, she's insightful, she's an intellectual, a steward, loyal, caring, nurturing, intuitive, empathic, supportive, genuine. She is whole and self-aware. She's a non-conditional lover. She is open-minded but protective. She is fertile and can birth things through her womb. She understands the power in the feminine. So again, I associate with like the Empress card or the High Priestess card for Vega, or like that Divine Mother archetype. So Lyra versus Vega. So Vegans, again, they are descendants of Lyrans. They were polar opposites in their beliefs and actions. So many conflicts happened between these two races, even though they had come from the same creator. They came from the same flame, so to speak. So when Creator Source broke off to experience its creation, then the Lyrans and the Vegans were seeded. The Lyrans and Vegans never really got along, but learned to come together once they were invaded by the negative Draconians and their alliances. So basically, once the Lyran and Draco wars happened, some Vegans, they helped. Some Vegans were more, just concerned about getting their people to, like, safety. But there was other Vegans that, again, were able to see through the dogma, see through the polarity, and still help some of the Lyrans escape. And, of course, unfortunately, not everyone made it out. And, a lot of souls on the earth today were healing this Lyran Draco War signature, and it has echoed throughout the galaxy. And yeah, so Lyra and Vega versus the negative Draco. So during the Lion Wars, a galactic conflict said to involve the Lyrans and the reptilian beings, often the Draco or Orion empires. So the Vegans are usually non-combative or minimally involved. They focus more on preservation and relocation of their people. But again, like I said, some help the other Lyrans flee to other parts of the universe for safety as well. But, the majority of the Vegans are kind of worried about getting their people out because you got to think they were so polarized from the Lyrans anyways. So it's kind of like, I didn't like you anyways, why would I help you type of thing, really. So, Vega and Sirius. So, a lot of Sirian starseeds, they can have a lot of Vega, Lyra in their chart, or, just if you're a Sirian starseed, Sirius was heavily influenced by the Vegan culture. And you can kind of see that with, how, so the Syrians were really, they had a big hand in Egypt, and you see how some of their practices were, and Vega had really more of a hand in, ancient, Indian mythology and things like that. So, you see kind of it's different practices, but very similar, So, the Vegans migrated to Sirius and mostly became 3D, but became almost complete opposite of who they were at the core. So once they, had to flee the Lyran system and they came into Sirius, a lot of them, they had to become 3D, some of them remain non-physical. So the ones that really became 3D, they got cut off from source. They got cut off from their source, from creator source, really, not from their source, but from creator source. They were no longer, about meditating and praying and creative expression. They kind of actually took more of on more of the masculine, more of a toxic masculine approach, being overly masculine at the point to where it began to take a toll. There was conflict between, the original Syrians and then the Vegan Lyran Syrians at that point. But the original Syrians that were there before, the Lyra Vegan Syrians were much more positive in nature and wanted to rescue the fallen angels. They wanted to help them remember. The more they pushed positivity, though, the more it pushed the refugees of Vega, the Vega Lyra Syrians, into a negative mentality, leading to friction and polarity and confliction in Sirius. So basically, I made a video about the Elders of Sirius, but this is where the Elders of Sirius step in, and they were the original beings who, when Creator basically, combusted, or the Big Bang, however you want to explain it, when the consciousness really took root in Sirius, the Sirius area, and that became Sirius, the Sirius Elders were we got to stop this. This is causing much, turmoil for, us, but, they wanted to help. But it was kind of you want to help somebody who didn't want, have you guys ever, try to help somebody, or you extended your hand and they just didn't want to help, or you wanted to give them advice, you really wanted to give them advice to help them, but you just knew that, they weren't ready to take it, or they probably would have got offended, things like that. It was kind of of that nature. So Vega and Sirius, continuing. So negative souls who wanted to remain non-physical progressively got caught off from source and stayed in Sirius in the karmic loop. The other positive Vegans, who were able to see the light, basically moved to Orion to help learn polarity integration. Eventually, the fallen beings of Sirius that were originally Vegans still fell into the Orion incarnation loop cycle. So basically, in a way, you'll see that a lot of through the chart, for me, I go from Vega, I got Sirius in there, I got Orion in there. So that probably was the case for me, or, I'm not for sure, but I wouldn't be surprised for a lot of people who have Vega, Sirius, and Orion in your chart. It kind of we trickled down in a way. So, the non-physical beings who were Lyran, Vegan, Syrian that turned positive, some chose to stay in Sirius, and they chose to stay more non-physical and to heal, and they wanted to master healing. Even some venturing to Arcturus and expanding to Andromeda and things like that. So here's some, if you look up Vega on Google, this photo will pop up. This is what the Vegan humanoid type more beings look like. I'm going to read this little thing, this little passage right here. But basically, Vega not only has humanoid beings that are blue skinned, but they appear as olive skin, tan skin. Some of them are even reptiloid, reptilian a little bit more, and hominid mixed. So vegans beings are usually hominid, though some later incarnated in non-physical form on Sirius, which we just talked about. They can have blue skin, or said to look like Vulcans from Star Trek. I never got into that, so I don't know what that is. So, or they may look like dark-skinned Orientals or East Indians that are also non-hominoids from VEGA that are insectoid or reptilian with greenish tinted skin ranging from flesh color to black with large eyes. They represent the first masculine polarization within Lyra. Thus, they have strong egos with a brave, independent nature. They have many talents and interests, often learning extensive trivia, and they tend to be creative and intellectual. They may struggle with following through and self-discipline. VEGA is known for its many technologies advances, and they will have an intuitive sense regarding use of technologies, including those related to healing and metaphysics, such as crystals. So if you're a vegan starseed, you might really like crystals, like that's healing technologies. They may be inclined to work in social services fields or to be very devoted to children, even prone to being overly responsible and being taken advantage of. They are often friendly, understanding, nurturing, and caring. So yeah, vegan souls, they kind of, we'll get into that like in the starseed traits, but they give you like that grandma vibe. You know, that elder woman that's, you know, abrasive. She feeds everybody. She's abundant. You know what I'm saying? She's got it. You got it. You know, she gives wise words. She wants to, like, see you grow. She, like, basically, you know, waters you in a good way. You know, if someone's more of a high vibrational vegan starseed, they're definitely going to be, like, their aura is going to be, like, nurturing, motherly, like, you know what I mean? And they could really like pets, just taking care of anything. Even if you don't end up having children, they could just really like having like a pet to take care of. So here is a picture of VEGA. It's a blue star, and this is also why some of the beings, like when people contact the vegan star beings up there, star seeds and stuff, they'll be blue. It's because their star is blue. So after the Lyran-Draco Wars happened, many vegan souls had to relocate, some to Arcturus, Andromeda, Sirius, and etc., like I said. So from Hindu mythology, the blue-skinned deities Krishna and Vishnu, you know, just to say the least, are vegan starseeds. So the vegan, again, like had a big hand in Indian culture, and they still do. So like yoga, meditation, tantric healing, all began in VEGA. So, I definitely got this from The Gift from the Stars from Elena Danaan. Again, a really good book. And these are some of the beings she has contacted more recently that are from VEGA, like currently, I guess you can think of. When you're thinking of star seeds, when you're thinking of ETs, when you're thinking multidimensionally, you can't think in linear time. So, I mean, these are the beings that are most commonly in contact with people from VEGA today. So you got the Adari. The system includes 12 colonized planets, one which has modified to support life. So it said like they had a star there, and they basically, you know, they got overpopulated. So they, you know, again, they're very advanced in their technologies. They had made it to where it's a planet that's basically where life can live. So they're not so like overly populated. So the Adari are refugees from Lyra. They settled on Vega's first planet, Adara. Though they resemble native vegans, their genetics are different, with brown-blue skin adapted to the star's radiation. The Adari wore long robes and had crystalline eyes. They are said to have influenced ancient India and are remembered in Vedic texts as blue-skinned gods. Today, they are believed to be part of the Galactic Federation of Worlds protecting the Earth. So then you got the Osman. So the Osman are peaceful beings from the fourth planet Ozma. They're tall, hairless, with big heads and pale triangle-shaped faces. Their skin is grayish pink, eyes are wide and pale, and their features are narrow and delicate. They wear long robes with high collars and wide sleeves, giving them a unique look. Even though their planet seems dark and volcanic, their cities are elegant with glowing domes and minimal tall buildings. They work as peace ambassadors in the Galactic Federation, helping protect Earth, and they travel in sleek, fine ships. So those are some of the like current vegan ETs, starseeds, however you want to word it, that are kind of helping Earth ascend into Gaia, Terra, you know, whatever you want to call it, to the 5D Earth, which is amazing. So, starseed traits. So these are just some more general traits. I know, I mean, you can easily look up just vegan starseeds and, you know, traits. If you feel like you're a vegan starseed and let's say I list a trait and you don't feel like it resonates or none of this resonates, like, don't freak out because you possibly could be. And in the link below, you can get a starseed chart reading by me where I go through like all your placements. You know, I give you insight into like your Christic mission, your Christic lineages, like, you know, that you could possibly be from, that you need, you know, they want to reconnect with you, you know, your DNA is waiting to be waken up, and getting a Galactic Starseed chart reading is perfect for connecting to your multidimensional self. But let's say, you know, you don't have money for all that. I'm going to give you some starseed traits, and if they resonate, if like 3 or more of these resonate, then boom, there you go. So, guardians of divine law. So, they may feel an inner resistance towards anything inorganic because they're such ancient old souls. And again, they were a part of the original Christic seeding, the original Christic, you know, teachings. So, you know, as a vegan starseed, you can just like feel kind of like you can be against when things are not in like natural flow, or when like people are just disrespecting just basic, you know, human, you know, rights, things like that. Like that could really trigger you. Just saying. So these beings are claircognizant. This could be like one of your psychic abilities. Either way, you're going to have some kind of psychic ability. You're going to be very telepathic. You may communicate better through frequency. You know, you're naturally diplomatic. You know, they prefer neutrality or mediation over aggression. So you guys are definitely going to be the types to not want to really confront, you know, really trying to see the light in things, you know, trying to like, you know, see the bigger picture. Can we just agree to disagree type of energy. So you may have a hard time with large crowds. Again, you guys are like energetic sponges. You guys could just like really just, you know, let's say you're fine with large crowds. You could just really not like chaotic situations, or both, vice versa, right? So where it really depletes your nervous system. So chaotic situations, being in large crowds, especially if you're very like empathetic, you know, and intuitive, and you know these things, you know, large crowds can just really like drain you. So like shielding yourself is so important, protecting yourself, praying, you know, all around your body, like, you know, at least 3 feet, you know, around all corners, above and below, you know, for real. So very spiritual or religious. So you'll notice that vegan starseed, so whether they're aware that they're a vegan starseed or they even know what a vegan starseed is, they're going to be very spiritual or very religious or just very like in tune with subtle energy. So they might like, you know, deny this part of themselves, but they're always going to be tapped in to some degree. You know what I mean? Even if it's like later on in their life, and then, you know, they're eventually like telling you all these stories they had and things like that. It's like somewhere they have some kind of like psychic ability to where they're usually experiencing some kind of paranormal activity or something like that. So they balance ancient wisdom with advanced technologies to heal. They're deeply in tune to their environment and to others. Again, they're nurturing, motherly, careful, wise. Again, the elder grandma vibes. So they are masters at anything metaphysical, literally. So you guys could be really good alchemists, you know, healers for sure. Anything with the healers, using your gut, anything like that, you got it. Nature lovers, they love animals and all versions of creators. So like you love planet Earth, you love, you know, probably if someone litters, it probably like irks you. You know what I'm saying? For real. Or like if you see like roadkill or, you know, like a dead possum on the side of the street, you know, you might even just be like, damn, still, you know what I mean? So you guys are intergalactic travelers. So, you know, whether you do this like at night, whether you guys are like able to do this shit like, you know, while you're consciousness, which is like awesome as fuck. Either way, vegan starseeds, ETs, whatever, they're intergalactic travelers and things like that. You guys are going to have prophetic dreams, so you could have a lot of downloads when you're sleeping and things. You could have a lot of that deja vu type of thing, right? You could have really excelled in science or math class. So you could have really, like, again, like, maybe you didn't pay attention in school, but, you know, science just came to you naturally, or math came to you easy, you know, it took you like a refresher and you got it like that. So you could feel your worth is dependent on your service, what you can do for others. So like you guys are really giving, and you guys are really caring. You guys are very in tune to others. You're really good at, like, me, like, you know, personally, like, me speaking, I'm really good at, you know, being able to look at somebody and, like, you know, read their traumas, or just be able to bring forth something they need, you know, whether it's, like, laughter or, like, advice or a conversation or things like that. You guys are going to be really good at that, just, like, understanding what someone needs. But then you guys can also be the types to where, like, you feel like you need to be needed. You want to feel needed. You know what I'm saying? Which can be exhausting and draining for sure. So introspection. So they want to connect to Creator through their inner understanding. Introspection, like, again, just really in tune with their gut. These are going to be your researchers. They want to know the universe in and out. Again, you guys probably could love meditation, yoga, and then again, like, living that vegan lifestyle, like, actually, you know, eating just plants or things like that. Maybe you're not into the whole eating, like, hard meats and things like that, which is totally understandable. But I'm Jarius the Aquarius. This was my take on the vegans, the vegans. If you're a vegan starseed, leave a purple heart or leave an emoji down below. Give this a like. Share this with your friends. And I will talk to you guys in the next video.